demons and ghoulies, welcome back to what I think should be the first video of the new year, 2023. How exciting. I hope you all had a wonderful New Year's and a wonderful holiday, if you so celebrate. I thought it would be fun to start off the new year with a video that is, I guess not too wildly different, but I was approached by a friend of mine who has been commissioning me for a while. They do stream. I will have a link to their channel below. It is, pretty sure it's like Lesbiany Mom, LESBNUY_mom. And they had a PNG tuber for a while and they were enjoying it, and they decided to sort of just jump in. They approached me and said, I really want a VTuber, but I cannot afford the rigging just yet, and so I was hoping we could use the image of the VTuber as the PNG for the time being, and I was ecstatic. I was very excited. So I figured, because this is my first time doing a commissioned VTuber for someone else, and I have the recording available, it would be a good learning experience for maybe beginners who are sort of in the same realm as I am. So I was very thankful that Lira, my friend, was able to send me a lot of reference images of what exactly they were looking for, so I really didn't have that much guesswork in planning out the outfit or really anything. I set them up as simple sketch before I did the drawing that you're seeing here, and they were like, yes, that looks great, I don't want any changes, just go ahead. So with that being said, for those of you who are maybe a little unfamiliar with VTubing, I am too, so I'm not a professional. There's plenty of other people who might be able to explain it better, but I'm dumb, and sometimes the dumb explanation is better. For people who are dumb like me. So what you have to do is every section of the body and the clothings must be essentially cut into pieces. That way they can be individually animated along with all the other pieces to therefore look more 3D and more fluid. The more pieces, quote unquote, that you have, the more effectively and possibly efficiently, depending, your animation and rig will be. So what I did is I did do a flat sketch for the character before moving forward. That just helps me sort of gauge what should go where, what things should look like. And then I start essentially lining everything. I try to keep my lining consistent, same brush size, and I try not to deviate too much. So then what you do is, in this character's instance, I had to do the very back of the cloak first, because that should be the very most back-facing item, other than maybe the hair. And obviously that's because, you know, if you think about the model as a 3D person, you know, maybe the hair would actually be behind the cloak because you wouldn't have your hair tucked into your cloak. So that's sort of the mentality you have to go about it. Like, how would you be perceiving things from other angles, or even just from front on? Like, how do you see them? So it would be the hair, the back of the cloak, and then there's actually for the cloak a top and bottom piece just to help things out a little bit. I don't know if that was really necessary. And then there's the back piece of her dress skirt. And then I do the back of the head as well, and we start to move forward to the ears, which I have to layer a bit differently because I've actually never done, like, obviously I've got horns on my head, and the horns go behind the bangs, which goes in front of the hair, and the ears are essentially the same way. But then you move to the legs, then you move to arms, and some people go as far as to do the bare arms and put cloth or the whatever item of clothing they're wearing on top of the arms to make those separate. It's a whole thing. And then for the mouth, you can get really complex with it, as in doing the mouth cavern. You could do then the tongue, and then you can do the top teeth and bottom teeth, jaw, essentially. You can even dissect it further and do the molars of your bottom jaw separate, as like, if you think of when you're opening your mouth, how like you would be seeing your front bottom teeth further down than your back bottom molars. Oh my god. So there is a whole lot that goes into it, and especially like the eyes too. It's your eyeball, your sclera, your eyelid, your iris, and people do the pupil separately from the iris. There's the eye shine, there's the bottom lash line, the upper lash line, and some people individualize eyelashes as well. And then when you're all done with that, usually I like to, because I have the symmetry tool on, it's easiest to keep it on while I color everything, while I shade and render everything. That way it makes, for me at least, the process a lot smoother. There's no reason I should be drawing 2 different hands, 2 different arms, 2 different eyes. You want things to look consistent and clean, and that's why I think the symmetry tool is best. There are a lot of people, I will say, I think they will totally draw the character as, you know, like the line art and then the coloring underneath, and then from there they will quote-unquote cut the pieces into what they need them to be. For me, that's just not agreeable. For me, it doesn't really work. I like thinking like this better, to see all the individual pieces as I draw them, and as I turn the layers on and off, and I'm able to put them all on, I can see them all clearly together. They look cohesive. It's whatever really works for you. I don't think there's necessarily a right or a wrong. But then once that is all done, for instance, I had to go back and do some texturing on the fur here, which is honestly really, really fun. I have to, and this is for my style, not everyone does this, it's sort of different depending on who you are. I do shadow pieces that go underneath certain pieces of clothing or some such, that just helps sort of sell the 3D aspect. So there is a shadow piece underneath the front tassel piece skirt. It goes on, I think, both of the legs, and I think there might be a shadow piece of just the skirt. There is a shadow piece that goes under each of the side pouches that she has, as well as the sort of beaded string that goes down the center. And then I think the last one I can think of off the top of my head is the head shadow, which is on a clipping mask to the neck, which also is very, very helpful. And that's essentially, so like, if you see my head moving from side to side, there is a shadow that is under there. That's pretty typical. If that is what you want to do, again, I know there's plenty of VTubers that don't do that, and there's plenty of VTubers who do, so... Which, again, is kind of the fun part, because you get to customize it and make it look however you want. You don't have to put in shadows. You don't even have to put any shading in. It could just be flat colors. I've seen people do some pretty crazy stuff with their VTubers, and it's fantastic, and I'm flattered. I'm flattered to be a part of the community. It's just great. And then what I have to do, you have to make sure that every layer is named appropriately, as in hair back 1, hair back 2, ears, hands. But then what you have to do, especially in my case, because both of the arms are on one layer, and so when everything is merged, the line art, the shading, the colors is all merged, for instance the arms, I will select one arm and then cut it, so that now I have an arm on I have two arms on separate layers. So the right arm has its own layer, and the left arm has its own layer, and it is labeled right and left according to the characters right and left. Don't quote me on that. I can't remember. But this was really, really fun to do, and I'm so thankful that they let me do them a lovely VTuber. Eventually, they will be getting this rigged down the road, and I would love to do a video on that when I get the chance to, and sort of explain that, because I think it would be... I mean, I know that there's already a lot of tutorials out there, but I think for me, as someone who was self-taught and just kind of fumbled my way through the internet trying to find out what to do, maybe I would be of some help. I don't know. But let me know if that's something you'd like to see. I would gladly do in a heartbeat. Or if there's any questions you have about rigging a VTuber or making the art for a VTuber, it is something I will definitely help with if I can. There's plenty of ways to do it for free or for very cheap, so... but with that, we're wrapping up. I will say goodbye. I hope you have a lovely day, night, or evening, wherever you are. I hope you do something nice for yourself. I will see you next week, in a couple weeks. Bye! This video was made possible with the support of my patrons. $5 Ghoul shoutout goes to Lapis Dragon 01 and Kelly. Special shout out goes to my $20 Demon tier patrons, Mimi Chai and Jay Loves. See you guys next time. Bye!
I just